Now, before I start, I realise that there are going to be people who disagree with me on this, and that's absolutely fine. With that said, however, I do believe that I have come up with a deal for Netflix for Doctor Who that's not only beneficial for Netflix, but also the BBC and even the fans. So I want you to imagine for a second that I've just been handed control of the Doctor Who brand, with the BBC basically saying, yeah, we don't really know what to do with it anymore, and we've tried every gimmick under the sun, just hoping that something sticks, but nothing's working. So if you could fix it, then here you go. At which point I scoop up the show and all of its assets and put the following plan into action. The plan would essentially be a sharing deal between Netflix and the BBC, similar to the sharing deal that Marvel and Sony have for Spider-Man. Netflix would be given the exclusive rights to produce and stream new Doctor Who, as well as get 50% of new Doctor Who merchandise. So essentially, Netflix would be the only ones allowed to stream new Doctor Who, also known as Doctor Who from 2005 onwards, which would also include all the spin-offs such as Torchwood and the Sarah Jane Adventures. In addition, Netflix would be the producers of Doctor Who going forward, and would fund each series that they produce. They would also have the final say on any decisions such as casting and showrunners, etc., with the BBC acting more like advisors. Now you may be asking, well, what's in it for the BBC? Well, I'm glad you asked, random voice inside my head that I probably should get checked out. Because not only do the BBC retain 50% of the profits from New Who merch, they also retain exclusive rights to Classic Who stuff, as well as keeping all the profits on Classic Who merch. As for Big Finish, Classic Who would remain unchanged, however, a new deal would likely have to be struck for New Who. Now that I've laid out what I believe to be an ideal deal, God, that's a hard sentence to say, I will now explain why I think it would be beneficial for every party involved. Despite Netflix being arguably the biggest streaming service, its number of unique big shows, or killer apps as it were, have been in a steady state of decline for some time now, what with them losing the Marvel show to their biggest competitor Disney+, and arguably their biggest original series, Stranger Things, coming to an end. Netflix is in dire need of a guaranteed hit, and what would be better than a show that has already built a fan base over 50 years of television. In addition, 50% of those merchandise sales would potentially generate huge revenue for Netflix. As for the BBC, doing this deal with Netflix would not only expose the brand to a lot more people, as Netflix has the money to market Doctor Who in as many ways and places as possible, as well as the fact that in the current climate of entertainment, more and more people, and in particular families, which has always been Doctor Who's target demographic, are switching to streaming services, especially Netflix. But the BBC also get to make huge profits from selling the brand as well as on all the new merch, without actually having to spend a penny. They would also continue to make 100% of the profits on Classic Who products, and be able to keep Classic Who on the retro British TV streaming service, BritBox, which to be honest I think is a much better fit for Classic Who as opposed to Netflix, as I think seeing a low budget action figure props Classic Doctor Who next to the most expensive that Netflix has to offer would look a little bit strange. That's not a criticism of Classic Who, by the way. I love the look of Classic Who. It's just that I think it would look a little bit silly next to things like Black Mirror. Finally, I believe this deal would benefit the fans, as it's basically the best of both worlds, as not only would we get Doctor Who that's actually for the Netflix generation, with better special effects and bigger names, as well as being produced by a company whose goal is to make profit, which in my opinion would put pressure on the producers to strive to make the show the best it can be, rather than just making something safe because hey, at least we have the TV license to fall back on if it fails. But if the new Doctor Who by Netflix isn't your thing, then you'll have BritBox, which has every episode of classic Doctor Who, all the way up to the 1996 TV movie. Or hey, even if you don't like streaming services, you can still purchase the DVDs and Blu-rays. And if you're hankering for some new classic content, why not check out the Big Finish releases? And hey, maybe with all the leftover money, the BBC will finally produce the long-awaited 8th Doctor spin-off series. Who knows? All I know is, at this stage, I feel like Netflix would do a better job with Doctor Who than the BBC, but that's just my opinion. Let me know what your opinions are down in the comments below. I know I'm not the first person to talk about Doctor Who on Netflix because I know that Crispy Pro has made an excellent video on the topic. However, I hope that I've added something new to this particular conversation. Anyways, as always everyone, thank you for watching. There's links to my Twitter, Facebook group and Discord are in the description below. Anyways guys, comment, like and subscribe and I will see you. Have you been craving some high quality merch that doesn't have She Who Shall Not Be Named on the cover? Are you struggling to get a gift for a family member or relative after they seem to have everything after Christmas? Well, fear not, as I have the perfect solution. Introducing Thary's merch. Not only is this merch high quality and affordable, but if you purchase it, you'd also be helping me, which means a lot. But I didn't stop at just shirts. Oh no. On the Thary's merch store, you can get notepads, hoodies, mugs, and more. Just visit the link in the description below, and on screen now. Because hey, every penny you spend in the Thary's merch store is a penny that the BBC won't see. And I think that that's something we should all be proud of.
Oh, look down there, you got a little shop. I like a little shop.
Never mind that.